We will recap about the finite and the non-finite verb. Let's read this. The verb is the most important element of a sentence. For a sentence to be meaningful, the subject and the verb must go hand in hand. So it says here the subject and the verb must go hand in hand. We have videos in which we have discussed about the subject of a sentence, and now we are discussing basically the forms of the verb. The verb that has a definite relation. Now this is very important here. It says here the verb that has a definite relation with the subject is called the finite verb. For example, now here we have he works all day. Works is a finite verb, it's simple present tense because it has a definite relation with the subject he. He worked all day. Worked again is a finite verb because it has a definite relation with the subject he. He likes to work all day. Likes is a finite verb because it has a definite relation with the subject he, right? And if you want to try this out, you can just change the subject from he to they, and what you have is they likes become like. And because the verb has a definite relation with the subject, any change in the subject is reflected in the verb. So when you say he likes to work all day, and when you change he from when you change he to they, it becomes they like to work all day. That means basically the change in the subject is having an impact on the verb. He liked basically becomes the past tense. Then many of you ask, what then is the function of to work? To work is not the finite verb of a sentence because it does not reflect the tense of the sentence. The tense of the sentence is always expressed by the main verb. The non-finite verbs are forms of the verb that are not related to the subject, right? And what are the different forms of non-finite verb? We have the infinitive, right? We have the infinitive. We have the gerund, and we have the participle. In this particular video, we'll go ahead and discuss the infinitive. But before we go ahead, we will take a few examples, right? In the sentences given below, after picking the subject and the verb, we will note down the other non-finite verbs. All the non-finite verbs are underlined here, right? Let's see here. It says here, I swim in the pool early in the morning. So here, swim is the finite verb. I swim in the pool early in the morning. The pronoun I is the subject of the sentence. The corresponding verb for that subject is swim. There are no non-finite verbs in this sentence. Yes, because the only word that seems to be the verb is the word swim. There is no other non-finite. Swimming is my favorite exercise, right? The subject here is swimming, which is a gerund, right? So you will say is basically the verb, and this basically becomes the subject of a sentence, and this is the gerund. We'll discuss the gerund in detail. The subject here is swimming, which is gerund. The ing form of the verb acting like a noun is called gerund. So again, gerund is basically a form of the verb, or I would say ing form of the verb acting like a noun. So here you might say that I am swimming, right? I am swimming in the pool, correct? So in this case, this swimming is different from the swimming here. This swimming is basically the subject of a sentence, and it has a verb as. Swimming is my favorite exercise. Fishing is my favorite pastime. You can have it this way as well. I love to swim with my daughter. So I is the subject of the sentence, love is the verb, and to swim again is the infinitive, right? The pronoun I is the subject of the sentence. The corresponding verb for that subject is love. I love something. To swim is the non-finite verb. It is called the infinitive. All the infinitives basically have the to before them. So if you want to identify the infinitive will always take the word to before it. So I love to swim. I love to eat pizza. I love to drink coffee. And it could be anything, right? So all to plus bare form. Why bare form? Because swim is the bare form of the verb. This is the bare form of the verb. Swimming becomes the word with the ing participle. Swam becomes a past form. So the bare form is the word swim. I love to swim with my daughter. Here, to plus bare form of the word swim is basically the infinitive, and all infinitives are in this form, right? To swim, to eat, to love, to enjoy. Some people wear swimming suit at work, right? What kind of suit? Swimming suit. The subject here is some people, and the verb is wear. right? The subject here is some people and the corresponding verb is where. Now we have swimming, which is an ing form of the verb. This ing form of the verb is acting like an adjective. Why adjective? Because it is modifying the noun suit, right? So this word swimming is modifying the noun suit and therefore it is acting like an adjective and it will qualify as a participle. Participles are nothing but the ones that act like adjective. So gerunds, they act like noun. Participles, they act like adjective. This is the difference. And then we have the infinitive, which can come anywhere in the sentence. So we have the infinitive, we have the gerunds, we have the participles. The gerunds act like noun, the participles act like adjective, and the infinitive basically they can become anything. They can become object, they can become subject of a sentence, they can become the verb complement, right? We will discuss each of these in detail. So let's go and discuss the infinitive. Now we will discuss the infinitives here. It says the infinitive is a form of the verb that consists of to plus the base form of the verb, such as to sit, to eat, to drink. These are all infinitives. Now see, like gerunds and participles, the infinitives are based on the verb. So we'll not discuss this. We are here to discuss gerunds and participles. We can say the infinitives are based on the verb, but do not act like finite verbs. We have been discussing this for the past, 5-6 minutes that they don't act like finite verbs. The infinitive may function as a subject, direct object, subject complement, adjective, or adverb in a sentence. Look at this now. To err is human, to forgive is divine. The sentence has two independent clauses. The first independent clause is to err is human. The second independent clause is to forgive is divine, with each clause having a subject. And in each case, the subject is an infinitive. To err is the subject for the first clause. To err is human. What is human? To err is human. So basically, is the verb, and the subject of this verb is to err. In short, the subject of the first clause is to err, while the subject of the second clause is to forgive. So, to do good to others is a very good thing. The verb is, right? And what is the subject of that verb? To do good to others. Everyone loves to criticize. So, what is basically to criticize? It is the object of the verb. You can say, right, I love ice cream, correct? I love ice cream. So in place of I love ice cream, which is the object, right? Ice cream is the object. I love to criticize, correct? So you can simply replace the ice cream with criticize, just as the ice cream, the noun ice cream was acting like the object of the verb love. Here to criticize is acting like the object of the verb love. So I love ice cream, I love mangoes, I love apples, I love to criticize, I love to sing, I love to dance, right? So here the infinitive has become the object of the verb, and here the infinitive was the subject of the sentence. So this is what we learn basically, that the infinitive can be the subject of a sentence, as in this case. It can be the object of the sentence, as in this case, sorry, object of the verb, right? And then the next that we have is his aim is to be famous, right? So to be famous is the complement of the subject. Why? Because his aim is to be famous. So the aim is basically to be famous, and therefore this to criticize was the object of the verb. This to be famous is basically the complement of the subject, right? So don't get into the nitty-gritties of this. You must understand that in this case the verb is, and this is the infinitive. In this case the verb is loves, and to criticize is the infinitive. In this case here, his aim is the subject, is the verb, and to be famous is basically the infinitive. Students often confuse the infinitive to plus verb with the preposition to plus object of preposition. They are two different things. Please understand, to can also be a preposition, right? So she likes to sit alone. Here to sit basically is the infinitive. She is used to, this to is basically a preposition, right? So here to, so if you have to, and after this if you have some kind of base form of the verb, right, then this is basically the infinitive. If you have to and then followed by the base form of the verb, then this is infinitive. If after to you have a noun or a pronoun or a gerund, right, or a gerund phrase, then it's basically a preposition, right? You must remember that the verb can never be the object of the preposition. The object of preposition has to be a noun, a pronoun, a noun phrase, a clause, a gerund phrase, or a, fine. So let's not worry about that right now. You must understand that to sit, To plus base form of the verb is nothing but the infinitive. It is different from the verb. That is what you must keep in mind. This to plus base form of the verb, which is nothing but the infinitive, can act like a subject of a sentence. It can be the object of the verb. It can be the subject complement, right?